One of the essays that really sort of captured this is where you talk about how photographs of missing persons become documents of proof and sort of documents to validate the search for these people. And could you talk a little bit more about that specific work, how that happens, and what that does to the image? You also sort of show these sort of registers that exist online of these missing persons. And so then what happens to this image is very interesting.
I think I ended up with that text just having the most difficult relationship with mapping because the nature of state enforced disappearances in Pakistan is just that they are so completely shrouded in secrecy and so incredibly impossible to map, right? And the absence of data is a very kind of defining characteristic of this process. And so it's kind of this double disappearance that happens over there. And the idea that the map form, or this kind of geographic kind of mapping of the last place where a missing person was seen, could somehow uh, give someone a deeper insight into something as absolutely devastating and impossible to come to terms with as a disappearance, also just felt like an incredibly fraught project. And that the flatness of the map just felt impossible to overcome in a practice like this. And so I had to then turn to, what is the visual landscape of the movement to recover Baloch missing persons? And I found at the time that there was an incredibly rich landscape, that the struggle at the time, I mean, this was 2013, so the struggle, it was kind of a really big part of, you could see it, it was very visual at the time. Things have really changed a lot since then, and especially it's almost kind of with the focus in my text on what the kind of virtual landscape of Baloch resistance looks like. It's really interesting to look back on that now because of the way in which the internet has become so much more radically policed, especially in Pakistan, but all around the world in these last 7, 8 years, is just kind of unthinkable. But at the time in 2013, the social media pages for the recovery of Baloch missing persons were proliferating, and these images were circulating really rapidly. And so there was a big kind of repertoire of kind of imagery that kind of kept these processes of disappearance alive and immediate in people's into virtual worlds and even social worlds moving through a city like Karachi.
Speaking of the virtual sort of visuality, I also wanted to briefly touch upon the sort of multimedia project that I don't know if it's a part of the second exhausted geographies sort of project, but I saw the website and the sort of Google map that really opens up various material that you've sort of collected from the area. And so if maybe Avira, if you could talk about the process of making that sort of network and the process of representing all of this online and how it was different from the book.
Yeah, I've not really made this connection before, but as you all were speaking about shifting and changing, especially Zara talking about her own text, I realized that something that has always been in the back of my mind whenever I'm designing either the book and then the website is that the city and the project is changing even as I design it. I always feel like there's something that there's a loss that is happening in that moment because particularly maybe because of the kind of city Karachi is, but also the fact that we were making a publication that was an object that was going to remain fixed in time. And I think maybe at the back of my mind is that's what I carried forward in the browser as well. As Zara and Chahana were explaining, that all of the research comes from the Karachi La Jamia sessions that they did on Gaddafi as well. And I think it was because they were doing the research and they were mapping the map that you've seen is the map that Zara and Chahana had made in collaboration with all the other activists and researchers and other people that they were working with. And as when you see the map, you see that it's very flat. And a little terrorizing that all the complexity and the violence and the lived reality of the people who inhabit those lands is flattened out with a bird's eye view. And that was the starting point when they came to me and they said, we want to make something that is not didactic, that isn't flat, that doesn't erase our own subjectivities out of the work. And that is the kind of politics as well as visual anchors that we move forward with the browser.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, of course, they both projects emerged from the same kind of research that we were doing. And we've always imagined them as two separate projects. But as I'm thinking about your question, I feel like the set of questions and prompts that were driving both projects are actually so similar, because even the web project is very much about this question of mapping, the impossibility of mapping, the violence, the flatness, and thinking about counter visualities, ways to map that are more situated, grounded, textured, more complex, complicated. And so, yeah, in some ways, I think there is great intersection between these two projects, despite the very, very different mediums. Yeah.
In fact, the change in medium, I think, increases the tension and the chemistry between one is the static object that is going to remain fixed in time, and the other one is this complex and often opaque changing dynamic. It changes even when you change the screen size, so
yeah.